meaning we sit with you, we understand your diet, we want to know you as a person, we are your guide. We are not the ones that are going to birth, we are not the ones that are going to breastfeed in the place of the parents. We are not the ones who are going to prepare and internalize an ideology and work with our own fears. All that hard work is on us to do.
This is the Birth Agni podcast, the fire that brings us alive, that burns myths and opens a channel of authentic natural birth stories. This show debunks the many myths of the medicalized births, showcases the plethora of choices a pregnant couple can make to embark on their empowered birth journey. I'm Divya Kapoor, a certified birth and lactation counselor and an aspiring traditional birth attendant. Let's get the flames blazing high.
Hello, good morning. Today I'm here as your solo host. I'm Divya Kapoor, a certified lactation counselor, childbirth educator, practicing doula, and a trainee traditional midwife, aka birth keeper. Today I'm here to talk about community care and how do you figure out what you need from your care providers, be it a doctor, be it a birth keeper, a doula, a lactation counselor, a childbirth educator, or whoever you're taking support from in your pregnancy. And the reason why I'm talking about this today is because there is something I'm seeing again and again in my practice that needs to be brought out. And I think there are so many things I need to clarify. Um, Generally, because I am seeing that it's hard for us to understand community care and how we are being guided in pregnancy by support but people, and especially how I practice, and a lot of people I know also practice like that. So it's important to sit down with the person you're going to take support from and learn who they are, what their ideologies are, and then go ahead and finalize someone for you. A lot of people I meet think that doulas or birth keepers are going to solve their problem. What's wrong in thinking that is there's nothing wrong. That's the usual expectation that we're going to help solve the problem. But what comes across is a lot of offloading and a lot of thinking that we are the ones that are going to do the work to be able to solve the problem. And that comes from the medicine world. That comes from how the medicine world works, wherein you go to a doctor and you say, okay, I have this. The doctor gives you something that you take and it fixes the problem for you. But that's not holistic. A lot of us in this birth world work with you in the holistic manner, meaning we sit with you, we understand your diet, we want to know you as a person, we are your guide. We are not the ones that are going to birth, we are not the ones that are going to breastfeed in the place of the parents. We are not the ones who are going to prepare and internalize an ideology and work with our own fears. All that hard work is on us to do. And it comes naturally to so many us when they're seeking for a guide. I think before even going ahead, it's important to sit and understand what the person in exchange, that means the person you're hiring in your pregnancy, what they're going to bring in exchange to the table. And when you hire someone, you are hiring someone who you trust, who is capable of bringing something that you expect. And it's a mutual faith-based relationship, it's a mutual trust-based relationship, wherein at any time you can feel, okay, I don't want to go ahead because I think, wherein I began, it's not the same right now anymore. At that time, most of us have a provision in place how you can go about it. But I think it's the first step to understand the hard work is to be done by the mother and the father, primarily the mother. The second thing to understand, I think, is to know that whoever you've hired as your companion is a whole human being and they are in service, in mutual respectful service with you, and they are not your servants. Because this work is so intimate, because this work is so compassionate, because this work is so healing for both the birth companion and the mother, it comes, you know, how many hours we put in. With one consult, with one prenatal consult, you know, we sit with you for 2 hours. With a lactation consult, I stay with you for 2 to 3 hours. Um, and it's a model where the birth keeper, your support person, is going to sit with you and learn about you as much as you're going to learn about them. When it comes to lactation counseling, your lactation counselor is going to act as a guide, is going to help you learn more about your baby and learn more about this journey and be able to try and have that faith that eventually breastfeeding is going to come around. They're going to give some suggestions, they're going to give some ideas, but who's going to do the work? The mother. Which is why a lot of us in the birth world do not take the credit of the work that parents do to come around because it's their journey, it's their hard work. Whatever we teach in our childbirth classes is not new. It has been known to our ancestors forever. But in this consumerist world, in this world where there is a healthcare or hospital who has advertised birth to be unsafe, birth to be risky, birth to be something that, you know, we need to do something extra to be able to birth our babies, and it's not within us to be able to birth our babies. And how do we transcend over and above what we're feeling in our bodies when we are birthing? And who sit with themselves and work with their fears? The parents. Who helps them in all these times? The birth keeper. So there has to be a faith based understanding, because there's nothing over and above. Mostly, birth keepers will not bring in over and above what you already have in your kitchen to be able to help you throughout the pregnancy, over and above your own diet and lifestyle, and more importantly, and more importantly, our understanding of birth and what we have internalized all our life is something that we need to work on to be able to feel free and liberated to be able to birth. Same with lactation counseling, feel free and liberated to know that our body knows what it needs to do. And all these ads and all these things that are selling us, you know, your baby's not going to sleep through the night, or you need to have a cot to be able to put your baby in, you need to have a sleeping bag to be able to put your baby in. All these things may be helpful, but nothing is going to solve the problem, because the problem is not the baby or the you. The problem is the hard work that parenthood is. The problem is being able to surrender to the intensity of postpartum, which can be far more than birth in itself. So, what I'm trying to say here today is that it's a mutual relationship whenever you hire someone as your birth keeper, as your companion, as your support person, even as your doctor. So, the first thing I recommend and how I practice is we do a discovery call. We meet, we sit down together, we talk about what you are going to expect out of birth, out of your journey of pregnancy. Even in childbirth classes, when I offer just childbirth classes, I sit with you and we talk about what childbirth classes are going to bring to you. So how you're going to work and understand all the information that you're being given, and that's going to be new. That's also going to shatter your own beliefs in what you've known about birth so far. Um, but to sit with that feeling, to learn new concepts, to come back to our own bodies, and to, with all this information, have that intuition as the central guiding place. That is something that we talk about in the first meeting. How are the meetings going to go? How long are the classes going to be? They're usually 2 to 3 hours, 1.5 hours to 2 hours. What is going to be the schedule? What else am I going to offer? I usually have my postpartum period included with my childbirth classes as well. So we talk about all that. And this is my ideology. This is what my beliefs are. This is where I come from. And are you okay with this? And again, we also talk about whatever decisions the parents are going to make, they're going to be their own. It's not going to be something that I'm going to make for them. They will have to. And that's also something that brought me to doing this episode, is because I'm seeing that there is a lot of expectation on the birth providers or the support people to make decisions on behalf of the parents. I know there has been a lot of authority in the birth world because there has been hospitals, there has been the doctors who have made us believe that, and that's the kind of practice that they've also been taught, with all due respect. But but the power to make the decision should never be someone else's. It should be the parents. It should be for them to sit down and make decisions for themselves. And what the birth world, what the hospitals have taught us, is that somebody will tell us what's the problem. Somebody will tell us, where am I? Somebody will give me a pill to solve my problem. Somebody is going to do something for me to be able to fix my problem. And most of the work around birth normally would not need anything more than you and your intuition. And whenever there is a decision to be made, your birth keeper is going to tell you what they can do in this situation. And they're also going to give you options of what else you can do. It's for you to sit down and make that decision. The community care comes in, wherein we are your guide. Like I said before, we are going to give you all the information. It's for you to sit down and make your own decisions, because it is your life, it is your story, and we are here to serve you with no judgments. So, whatever you decide to go ahead with, the birth keeper or the support person or the doula or the childbirth educator is going to sit with you and say, okay, so this is how we're going to mold our guidance for you if you go ahead with this decision in a particular place where there has to be a decision made. We're going to work with you on that, but the decision is going to be the responsibility of the parents, because it's unfair for the parents and for us to be able to go ahead and say, okay, I think I would have done this in this situation, but the parent is feeling, okay, I feel deep down in my intuition that this is what I should do, but since my birth keeper, my doula, my midwife thinks that this is better, I will go ahead and do that. But guess what? All that you felt deep down was something within you telling you that this is better for you. And there's wisdom in following that voice, because it comes around with all our life experiences, with all that we've learned. And especially in pregnancy, it comes from a spiritual place, because you are the nurturing home of a new life. There is communication between you and the baby. It's hard to believe in it, but if you sit down with you and your baby, you know that baby deep down. So the woman is at the center. If there is a situation in pregnancy wherein we need to make a decision, I often sit down with parents and ask them, what do you feel deep down? If there is fear, we talk about if it's you or if it's the noise that's out there that's making you believe things. Do you want to sit down with yourself and ask yourself, what if all these people were not here on planet? What would I have done? That is where your power comes from. It's a very woman-centric work. And not that we don't do anything. We use a lot of tools that we have in our basket. We have our hands, we have our fetoscopes, we have our palpation, we have our herbs and homeopathy to help you with a lot of things. Diet being one of the first tools that we go to. And a lot of issues can be solved with that. And the mind is something we work with. So it's important to understand what community care means, to have that first discovery call with whoever you're going to hire as your support person, be it a doctor. And the moment you start asking uncomfortable questions and start owning and taking charge of your birth or your lactation journey, you're going to figure out who's going to be able to sit with you and who is not going to be able to sit with you. And I'm happy that if somebody is not aligning with my way of working, may not choose me because we spiritually, energetically don't align. And it's only good for both of us because it saves a lot of friction. Whereas if we align, that trust does a lot of work. So it's important to have that faith. It's the same as going to a gym or going to an aerobics class because I feel aligned with the aerobics class, it's going to work for me. But if somebody really believes in gym and doesn't believe in yoga, gym is going to work for them and yoga may not work for them because they're beating themselves up for it. It's not something they energetically feel it's right for them. And that's true. There is truth in it. And now I'm going to conclude by reading some research papers on community care. And that's what I like to do in most of my solo episodes. Give you some technical information. Anyway, this is more holistic. All that I've spoken about, all that I've blabbered about in this episode is more holistic, is more important. But then again, let's give research papers some leverage. So the first one is an article. It's more like a study. It's not. It's not a research paper. So it talks about a historical review of the Madison model of community care. I personally think I thought about, and I just got this word to be able to describe my work because I sit with women, even for a lactation consult, at length for 5 to 10 days. Because I've realized early on that one sitting with a mother is not going to solve their problem. Because it's more in the mind. Mostly with most lactation issues, there's hardly any problem with the technicality or with the body working. It's the mind that we have to work with. And based on that, I think they started this community-based mental health care program. That's where it began. So it says the community-based mental health care programs developed by this team, Test, and their colleagues in Madison, Wisconsin, have had a profound impact on the delivery of mental health services to the severely mentally ill. The authors trace the development of the model from its late 1960s, emphasis on improving Mendota State Hospital and providing intensive post-discharge care through the phases of releasing patients to the community, mind you, preventing hospitalization, mind you, providing continuous community care for young schizophrenics, maintaining difficult patients in the community, mind you, and organizing a system of care. This was for people who needed help emotionally, and trust me, most of our illness begins there. Illness, physically, when it's manifested before that, it is a state of mind in so many ways. So mind and emotional support should always be there, even if physically there's no issue as such. Community care, I love that. Throughout its evolution, the model has changed significantly in response to changing circumstances, reflecting the assertive adaptability of the approach. Program planners attempting to incorporate elements of the Madison model in their own settings must be aware of the current pressures that are likely to force further adaptations. Okay, I don't believe in that. I think every support person is and should be allowed, not allowed, is and should be able to go ahead and take charge of how and what they offer. It should spiritually align with who they are. That's when they're going to be most authentic, and that's when they're going to be most free to be able to help support you. It shouldn't be under any kind of protocol or guideline. And which is why I think many people are surprised with home visits of midwives and birth keepers when they come at your home and they sit with you for 2 to 3 hours because they want you to be comfortable. Because that's where you birth. That's where I do a lot of lactation consults when I do home visits. Because I don't want mothers to pick up their babies and themselves, put themselves in a car and come to me. When I'm old, maybe I'll do that. But not, right now, I have all the energy in the world. I have a 5-year-old and a family that takes care of my daughter. And so I can move around, and I love that. I love seeing women in their comfort because they're freer to express what they want to express. They're freer to show me any issues they have. They feel safe in their own settings. And that's what matters the most to us, more than anything else. And then the second, I think I found a book that talks about community care. I'm scrolling through it. So it says, it's a book, it's called Community Care. You can find it on Google Books itself. So it says community care means providing the right kind of intervention and support to enable people to achieve maximum independence and control over their own lives. Oh, hell yes. All that we've been talking about all this while. For this aim To become a reality, the development of a wide range of services provided in a variety of settings is essential. These services form part of a spectrum of care ranging from domiciliary support provided to people in their own homes, strengthened by the availability of respite care and daycare for those with more intensive care needs, through sheltered housing, group homes, and hostels where increasing levels of care are available. I think that's more of a wide view of what community care means. At the core of it, it means that there is love, there is friendship, there is trust, there is sisterhood when a birth keeper, a doula, again, a lactation counselor sits with you and works with you. It is not formal. It is not based on authority, that somebody is an authority in that relationship. It is based on we're going to work together in this and come to a beautiful, beautiful experience for you. And we constantly go over your needs. We constantly revise what we talked about. There is no blame, there is no judgment. There can be confirmational bias, and that's okay. Or it's for all of us to go back to ourselves and learn as people when we work with more and more women. So it's a spiritual path for the birth workers. It is a spiritual and a healing journey for women to be able to support it in this way in their communities. So go ahead, do that first discovery call. Get to know the person you're going to hire for the most beautiful and the most sensitive journey that you're going to remember for the rest of your lives. Because the power lies with you. Bye.
There is a field beyond fear, where the body is empowered to take on labor and birth. To land there, it is crucial to take birth education. To enroll into our unique labor and birth preparation course, reach out to us at www.birthagni.com or scroll through all available prenatal and postnatal preparation classes. Thank you for listening, all in the spirit of birth, womanhood, and freedom. Remember, you got the power. This podcast is about physiological birth and does not offer or claim to provide medical knowledge or diagnosis.